Hello everyone. Let's have more news about the Miami Heat, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. The Miami Heat have the ultimate stability at coach because of Eric Spoelstra. He is currently the longest tenured at his position in the league after San Antonio Spurs coach Greg Popovich stepped down earlier this year. That doesn't mean the Heat experienced the same at the assistant level. They face the possibility of losing top assistant Chris Quinn. According to John Gambadoro of Arizona 98.7 FM Sports Radio, Quinn is among the 4 finalists for the Phoenix Suns job. Guard Mike Conley Jr. is in the middle of trying to help the Minnesota Timberwolves reach the NBA Finals. Trailing the Oklahoma City Thunder 3-1, Conley is just one loss from the season being over. This hardly marks the end of his career. At 37, he has sights set on playing 20 seasons. If so, Conley would join a select group that includes former Miami Heat forward Udonis Haslem. Conley said he's changed diets to help reach the goal. I stopped eating red meat about 8 years ago, Conley said in an interview with Anscape. I did blood work and my body was deficient in some things and less of some things. And the red meat was one of them. Something I do every day is I wake up around the same time at 7:30 a.m. I won't eat until after 11 a.m. I drink water. It's almost like a mini fast. I won't eat after dinner, and dinner is like 6:30 p.m. I try not to eat anything from that point until the next morning. The others who have played 20 seasons are LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, Vince Carter, Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Willis, and Robert Parrish. Conley needs just 2 more years. He is currently the 10th oldest player in the league. Now let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
Heat get some bad news on a potential Kevin Durant trade. If you are a Heat fan that wanted the Heat to acquire KD this offseason, well, it became a lot more difficult because it sounds like there is another team out in the Western Conference that could have interest in Durant, and boy, can they top any package Miami could potentially offer the Phoenix Suns. This coming in from Shams Charania. He was on the Pat McAfee show earlier this week and said that Kevin Durant and the Spurs held mutual interest in joining forces at the trade deadline last February. That came after the De'Aaron Fox trade, so it would have been Fox, KD, Wemby. Obviously, Wemby missed the end of the season due to the blood clots, but he also reported that the two sides could explore a joining of the forces once again this summer. And if that's actually the case, then it's going to be hard for me to find a reason why Kevin Durant isn't the third fiddle to De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama this upcoming season in the fall. But let me know your thoughts before we get more into this. Do you even want to trade for KD? Some of y'all might not even want to due to him being 37 years old this upcoming season, his $54 million contract, and the need for an extension. Do you even want to trade for KD? Type Y for yes or type N for no. There's no reason why the Heat fans should doubt Shams Charania and his report about KD and the Spurs. But I will say this. If it is true about the two sides potentially looking to explore the option of joining forces this summer, the Heat are absolutely cooked. There is no possible way the Heat could top the package San Antonio could send to Phoenix for KD. And if Durant wants to go there, well, then the Heat have no hopes of trying to lure Durant to the 305. Like, you look at the Spurs' tradable assets this offseason, you have a good, solid, young wing player in Devin Vassell, who's making $29 million per year. Keldon Johnson, a solid role-playing forward, making $17 million. Harrison Barnes on a one-year, $19 million expiring. The Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle. Now, I still don't know if he's got superstar or all-star upside at this point, but he's a really solid young player nonetheless. And they also have 3 tradable first-round picks. They might have more, a little bit wonky with their picks they have at their disposal due to the 4 picks they traded for De'Aaron Fox at the deadline, but they at least have 2 tradable first-round picks in this year's draft, number 2 and number 14, plus 17 ridiculous second-round picks. The truth is this. When you think of the Spurs package for KD, they just have so many different combinations and so many young players, so many draft picks at their disposal to where if they were serious about pairing KD, Wemby, and De'Aaron Fox together in the Western Conference, they could top anything, whether it's a combination of Devin Vassell, Stephon Castle, and 1 first-round pick, whether it's Devin Vassell, salary like Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes, and multiple first-round picks. Like, they could just throw out the all-time trump card if they wanted to and say, yeah, we're just going to offer salary in the second overall pick. Now, should San Antonio do that? No, because Dylan Harper would be a home run pick there, and I would rather have him than trade for KD at this point. But they could package 14 and some future first-round picks with a gazillion second-round picks to just get KD to Phoenix. Like, Miami, I think, has a relatively solid package for Kevin Durant, but it just sadly can't reach the heights that San Antonio could. And I've mentioned this throughout the entire offseason to this point when talking about KD. Miami has a solid package, but they cannot top the Spurs. They cannot top the Rockets. They could not top the Thunder if they wanted to create a crazy reunion. Like, they just can't top some of these Western Conference teams. And with where Miami is at in their current build, I don't think it's that smart of an idea to get into a bidding war over Kevin Durant. I love KD. I want to acquire him. But if it means shipping every pick you have, plus your young players like Kel'el Ware and Nikola Jovic, well, then I'm out. Because to me, I don't know if KD gets you to the finish line in terms of winning a finals, especially if you package all of your draft picks, making it useless for future moves and some of your younger players as well. Do not get into a bidding war for Kevin Durant. I'm begging you. We're going to continue to talk about KD here, but make sure you are subscribed because we have daily Miami Heat content for free. We have almost 22,500 people here at our Heat Report family. Let's continue to grow daily Heat content. Let's get 7 subscribers to get to 22.5K subs. Now, me saying I do not want to get into a bidding war for KD is not the same as me saying that he is not a good basketball player still. Because this guy is still absolutely ridiculous at age 36, going to be 37 this upcoming year. He had arguably one of his most efficient offensive seasons in his entire NBA career this past season and would have likely probably had a case for that third-team All-NBA if he played just 3 more games and qualified for that award. You look at how he scores, and he dialed back his three-point shooting a couple years prior to this season, but then really went back to shooting from beyond the arc, and just, you see the green here, right? He shot 5% better than league average above the break from the three-point line while shooting a ridiculous 52.4% from the right corner, 48% from the left corner. He even got to the restricted area, not a lot, doesn't do it often, but when he gets there, 13% better than league average at that spot, an elite mid-range shooter, an elite paint scorer. This is just the point of this. Like, there's nothing that I'm telling you that you don't already know when it comes to Kevin Durant. The guy, despite being his age, is still an elite scorer. Whether he gets a post up on a smaller defender, whether he is the handler in a pick and roll and just walks right into a mid-range or gets a switch and then backs a guy down, catch and shoot. Like, he could score in so many different ways, and it would really help Miami a ton keeping him alongside Bam and Hero, because now you have Bam as that third option offensively, which is probably his right role. You get Hero as that second option offensively, which takes a lot of the pressure off of him in terms of the top point of attack defender on the opposing team, and it's not heavily reliant on him creating everything in the half court for Miami. So it makes a lot of sense basketball-wise to get Durant to the Miami Heat. But the truth is this. Should you package the entire house to acquire 37-year-old Kevin Durant? Because that is what might be required to top these packages that could be sent out by a Houston Rockets if they actually are interested, by a San Antonio Spurs. I think they could potentially top Minnesota, who is an interested team, but to top San Antonio, are they sending Ware, Jovic, all first-round picks and some salary like Andrew Wiggins and Terry Rozier? Like, I don't know if that is worth it because you have to pay them $50+ million on an extension, and you have now a 2-year window where you don't have any future draft picks to trade to help upgrade the team around Hero, Bam, and KD. I don't know if that is the smartest decision for Miami. More to come here in a second, but I got to tell you about this Heat quarter zip. If you watched our watch parties this year, you would know I have this exact Heat quarter zip. Well, right now it is on sale for 50% off. Yes, usually $85. You can get it for $42 right now when you go to chatsports.com/HeatQZip sale. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Get a QZip I rock. The coaching staff rocks. 50% off. chatsports.com/HeatQZip sale. This is the Kevin Durant trade package I have consistently showed on our show. Andrew Wiggins, Hawkes, Duncan Robinson, and 2 first-round picks. The 20th pick this year from Golden State, and then a future first-round pick in 2030 that's top 10 protected. I think this is as good as I'm willing to offer, man. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I love KD. Maybe people will say I'm crazy. You need to offer more. But where the Heat are in terms of their roster construction, that is just the best I can offer without crippling future moves and making it a 2-year window where you probably can't even reach that high. Like, I would be willing to maybe swap out Jaime Jaquez Jr. for Nikola Jovic. I think Jovic is a better player, a better asset long term. But due to him being contract extension eligible in the next couple of years, maybe you want to get rid of him rather than pay him, and you just keep Jaquez as more of an experienced wing off the bench. But listen, that's my offer. I'm not offering Khalil Ware for KD. I'm just not doing it because I think Ware showed enough this year in terms of his potential, his growth as a front court partner with Adebayo to warrant him staying. Now, if you're talking like a Giannis trade or an unbelievable All-NBA, All-Star level player that's still under the age of 30, yeah, I'll trade Ware, no questions about it. But for a 37-year-old, it's a little bit of a question in terms of their 2 first-round picks. I'll offer pick swaps alongside it as well, but that's as high as I'm going for Kevin Durant. And unfortunately, that might not be good enough because if you're the San Antonio Spurs and Kevin Durant tells you, or to me, let's just rephrase that. If you're the Phoenix Suns and Kevin Durant says, I'm cool being traded to Miami or San Antonio, you choose what package you like better. And then the Spurs come in with a combination of Vassell, salary, 2 first-rounders, one being in the lottery this year at 14th overall, well, then you're obviously taking that. Or if the Spurs come up and offer, hey, we'll give you Stephon Castle, Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, and 1 first, but you get the rookie of the year who showed a lot of promise as a ball handler.
Had consistent, reliable offense. It was always these games in the mud and everything else. And so when you look at Miami's defense, which you expect to still be at a high level, depending on what you have to sacrifice to acquire a player like DeRozan, and I don't think it's that much. That being the case, you just taking on this offensively gifted player, and he kind of fits what Miami does in terms of have the spacing, you have the 3-point shooting. Let him go to work in the mid-range. That's where he's comfortable. That's where he does his work, and that's where I think that's where you want to maximize what DeRozan can do, and then you're not sacrificing that much defensively. There could be some concerns between Hero and DeRozan being starters defensively, but I think for the most part, Miami's front court of Adebayo and Ware, assuming you can keep Khalil in a deal like this, should be enough to compensate for any issues that you have there with that starting lineup. And especially if you were able to sign Davion Mitchell.
Well, first of all, I want to say the Khalil Ware piece. You're not trading Ware in a DeMar DeRozan deal. You can't do it. To me, you can't give up any of the young guys, the draft picks, not for DeMar DeRozan at this stage of his career. I have a trade idea for DeMar DeRozan that I think works for both teams. But before I get to that, there's 2 things here that stand out about DeRozan to me. Number one, he is still an awesome offensive player. He's incredibly efficient. His shooting percentages were a little bit down last year, but that's because Sacramento asked him to space the floor because, fun fact, DeMar DeRozan, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, turned out that didn't work, just like basically everybody said when they signed DeRozan. So his percentages went down because they were asking him to space the floor a little bit more than he's used to. But in Miami, I don't know. Maybe he would be asked to do a little bit of that. He was still a pretty efficient player, still shoots over 50% from 2-point range. We know what he can do in the mid-range. He's one of the few players that it should be and is allowed to take as many shots from that area as he wants because he's just so good at it. And you look at it, we talked about the dunks and threes offensive EPM last week when we were talking about something. I forget. But basically, it's a catch-all offensive stat. How good are you offensively, and how do you impact your team? Kevin Durant was a plus 2.5 in dunks and threes offensive EPM metric. Durant, a 2.5. DeMar DeRozan, 2.4. So just a hair below Durant offensively. Now, I think it's a little misleading. I don't think Durant is just a hair better than DeRozan. I think Durant is way better than DeRozan. But it still speaks to the impact that DeRozan was able to make last year for a Kings team that wasn't very good when he was a little bit miscast. Here's the other thing that stands out to me about DeRozan. You mentioned innings eater, 100%. This is how many games he's played the last several seasons. 77, 79, 74, 76, 61 during that shortened COVID year, 68 during that other shortened COVID year, 77, 80. This guy plays basketball games. This guy plays basketball games. He can run a little bit of pick and roll for you. My question with DeRozan is, can he be the number one option on offense in Miami? Because that's what they're looking for. Because if he's going to just come in and be a second option to Tyler Hero, that doesn't work. But to your point, David, could you throw the ball to him in the mid post and run your offense through that, where he's hitting Tyler Hero coming off a split cut, or creating enough space for Bam to get into that dunker spot, or Khalil Ware to get into that dunker spot and throw that lob. I think DeRozan's a slightly underrated passer. He's not an awesome one. I think it's part of his game that doesn't get talked about.
Right.
Could you run your offense through DeMar DeRozan for the regular season, for 82 regular season games? Throw it into him, go to work, take the shots you want as just your initial trigger. I don't know that you can run an incredibly efficient offense that way, but it could probably be better than 21st in offensive rating.
It seems like it's a step back, though. I mean, given the fact that they turned over so much of the offense because of the Jimmy situation and everything else to Tyler, I don't know that they're willing to take that step back for a different player that hasn't earned that kind of equity with the team like Jimmy had. I mean, that seemed like it was a source of conflict, and this is about Jimmy Butler. DeMar joins this team in August, September, right before camp, and you're all of a sudden going to say, you know what, let's give him the ball and let him go to work, and then everybody else kind of has to play off. Bam, I think, again, given Bam and how he approaches offense, I don't think that would be a concern. He'll figure his out. He'll get his when he does. But with Tyler, you're kind of asking him and saying, listen, we know you just had the best season of your career, and now we want you to change it yet again.
Would it be? I don't know. He's doing the off-ball stuff still?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I would say that you'd have to kind of run it by him beforehand to make sure that this is the kind of move that he feels comfortable with.
Could you do it like 50-50? Is there a world where it's like, okay, half our plays are throw it to DeRozan in the post, and then then some of it is just going to be Tyler, high pick and roll, whatever?
I don't see why not. I don't think you all automatically have to just acquire DeRozan and feel like he's going to be your number one option. I think he could be kind of a 1A, 1B kind of thing with Tyler and DeRozan. Okay. I think you could trade shots and the looks that you get, and I think they each approach their scoring in different ways.
And you stagger them, right?
Yeah.
You start them, obviously, and then you stagger them, and you're like, all right, we got the Tyler Hero offense, and then we got the DeRozan offense, and then we close our halves. It could be a little bit about like what the Clippers did the last couple of years, which worked.
Yes.
Where it's like, okay, we got the Harden Zubac pick and roll, and then we'll do that a couple plays, and then we're going to throw it into Kawhi in the low post for a couple plays, and we're just going to kind of toggle between these two things, and they managed to make it work.
What's the trade idea here?
Well, one last, it's a little. LeBron leaves in 2014, and the Heat immediately acquire Luol Deng. This is a little Luol Deng coded for me. It's a little Jimmy Butler leaves, and you go get DeRozan. It's just a little that. Which, you know what, the Luol Deng thing, obviously would have preferred to keep LeBron, but considering LeBron was left, it ended up working out. So it wasn't a bad move. Luol Deng was good here for a couple of years. But the trade idea is this: Andrew Wiggins for DeMar DeRozan, straight up. Wiggins for DeRozan, straight up. I think it makes both teams better, like right away.
I think so too.
Sacramento gets some defense with Wiggins. You get the ball back into Zach LaVine's hands. You just run LaVine Sabonis stuff. Wiggins is doing his thing as a third or maybe even a fourth option behind Keegan Murray, behind Malik Monk, right? I think Wiggins is a much better fit in Sacramento. And then DeRozan becomes that scoring option that Miami's looking for.
I'm fine with it. You don't give up much depth. I think
no depth.
You don't give up anything. Yeah, you acquire a player in DeRozan, and his contract doesn't seem so bad. I mean, we're talking about 2 years when he's going to be probably in some decline, just given his age. But I don't think it's going to be a drastic one. Again, given the fact that he played 77 games last year, you don't see him really just falling off the cliff. So I think he's going to be a consistent guy who's going to be able to put up 20 points over the next 2 seasons of that deal. If you can't get that superstar, absolutely. I think it's a smart move. And if all it takes is Wiggins, you do it 100%. Now, if you could get something else, maybe, I don't know if you could get some draft collateral from Sacramento, probably not. It'd be
I
nice
wouldn't
to
even
consider,
bother.
but
If they were willing to do it, I'd just be like, "Hey guys, your problem, our problem. Let's solve each other's problems here." Like it feels too
clearly you'd
easy.
offer Rozier first, right? But I mean, that's
You would offer Rozier first, and then Sacramento would be like, "Yeah, dude, you're gonna give us Terry Rozier? This is amazing with Sacramento Kings.
Scary Terry. Yeah.
With Scary Terry, I can't believe we're getting this guy. This is amazing." Um, could the Heat help bail out the Boston Celtics
Ooh.
this summer while also getting better in the process? We'll talk about a potential win-win trade scenario after this here on Locked On Heat.
Today's episode is brought to you by Wayfair. The days are getting longer, the weather's warming up, and people are spending more time outside, which means it's the perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Look, we just celebrated Memorial Day this past weekend. Everybody's out and about, great weather throughout the whole long weekend. You want to be able to spend some time with family. This is what you're looking for. Whether you're working with a big backyard or a small balcony, well, Wayfair has everything you need to make it feel more like you. Wayfair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into an ideal summer setup. From comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor, they've got it all and at prices to fit your budget. So shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Go outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. We'll be right back.
Let's talk about the Boston Celtics. They've got to make some moves this summer. Jason Tatum goes down with the Achilles tear, awful injury, devastating for Boston. Kind of forces them into a tough spot here financially because they were always staring down a historically large luxury tax bill. They were going to have to trade at least somebody, one of their big high-priced players next year. Now they might actually have to trade multiple of these guys, and if they're going to treat it like a gap year.
As NBA insider Shams Charania declares this offseason the craziest of all time, fans are eager to see what their favorite teams do to upgrade their squads for next season. And at the center of these deals will be Phoenix Suns' Kevin Durant, as one of the biggest names that general managers will pay attention to over the next few months. Bleacher Report's Adam Wells discussed some of the new possibilities for the 15-time All-Star, listing the Miami Heat, Houston Rockets, and New York Knicks as some of the favorites. However, Wells declares the San Antonio Spurs as the most intriguing unit to land Durant, based on their assets and team structure. San Antonio might be the most interesting team because it has arguably the most valuable asset in the NBA with Victor Wembanyama, assuming he has no setbacks in his recovery from a blood clot, and owns the number 2 pick in the 2025 NBA draft, Wells wrote. The Durant saga in Phoenix has reached a breaking point, with the two-time Finals MVP having nowhere near the success anticipated upon initially arriving. He is expected to head to another team to try elevating a squad in need of a championship-caliber player or high-level scorer. The Heat certainly need both, as their disastrous playoff series against the Cleveland Cavaliers highlighted their lackluster roster last season. Miami is expected to make a push for Durant, but their lack of assets and recent history of quiet off seasons have them as a heavy sleeper. And you, fan, what do you think about Kevin Durant's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.